Jungle.
Alright, so good morning everyone. But before we get into the news this morning, I want to tell you guys something. We can get better if we truly desire to be. In Nigeria, if we truly can abandon ethnicity, religiosity and dishonesty, we can build a nation if we start doing now the things that we said we are fighting for. So each and every one of us coming out tomorrow to protest, please and please let us endeavor to make it a very, very peaceful one. Alright, so with that, I welcome you back to another exciting and engaging edition of From the Newspaper, streaming live from MFM Radio and TV, right here in the beautiful city of Ibadan. Yes, it's another beautiful day today, Wednesday, the 31st day in the month of July, year 2024, and the last day in the 7th month of the year 2024. Alright, so you're welcome back to From the Newspapers. In case you are listening or watching us for the very first time, this is the newspaper review show right here at MFM Radio and TV, where we get to bring to you the latest happenings, trending stories, and also relevant informations as we have them on the front pages of our national dailies. And MFM Radio and TV is the station where we get to set the agenda, and everything that we say here in this station, everything that we project is nothing but the truth. My name is Mobola G. Karim. I'm from the newspapers, like I said, is that newspaper review show. That is in 3 segments. The very first segment of the program this morning is the weather forecast report for the 3 major cities in Nigeria: the Federal Capital Territory Abuja, the commercial city of Lagos State, and the vibrant city of Ibadan, where we are transmitting live from this morning. The second segment of the program this morning is the headlines making rounds on the front pages of our national dailies, and we are talking about the Punch newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper, the Nation, the Guardian newspaper, and the Nigerian Tribune. And the last segment of the program this morning is the details to the stories. Alright, so to connect with us live, you have to follow our Facebook page at MFM TV. You can be a part of the program this morning. Just go right there to your Facebook page at MFM TV. Drop your like, your comment, and also share this program. I know, like I always say every morning, this program is highly interactive. So if you have anything to say, if you have any opinion to make or any comment to make, just go right there to our Facebook page to drop your comment this beautiful morning, or call us at 0815-9194-247. It's 0815-9194-247 to be a part of the conversation this morning. Alright, so you know how we do it every morning. Before getting to the news proper, I have to give you the weather forecast report. And this morning I'll be starting with Oyo State, Ibadan. From exactly 10 a.m. in Ibadan, we have showers, and the weather temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. 11 a.m., 12 p.m., we have rain, and the weather temperature is 27 degrees Celsius. 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., the weather is now mostly cloudy with 29 degrees Celsius. 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., we have intermittent clouds, and the weather temperature is 26 degrees. 7 p.m., still intermittent clouds in Ibadan, and the weather temperature is 25 degrees. 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., up until 11 p.m. in Ibadan for today, the weather is still very much cloudy with 23 degrees Celsius.
Your jungle.
Alright, so the next city this morning is the Federal Capital Territory Abuja. In Abuja, from exactly 10 a.m., the weather is very cloudy and the weather temperature is 22 degrees. 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m. we have intermittent clouds and weather temperature is 23 degrees Celsius. 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. still intermittent clouds in Abuja and weather temperature is 26 degrees Celsius. 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. the weather is now mostly cloudy with 23 degrees Celsius. 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. up until 11 p.m. in Abuja for today, the weather is still very much cloudy with 22 degrees Celsius. Alright, so finally the last city this morning is the commercial city of Lagos State. From exactly 10 a.m. in Lagos State, we have thunderstorms and the weather temperature is 26 degrees. 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m. the weather is now very cloudy with 27 degrees Celsius. 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. The weather is still very much cloudy in Lagos State, and the weather temperature is 28 degrees. 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. up until 11 p.m. in Lagos, the weather is still mostly cloudy with 26 degrees Celsius. Alright, so the chances that it will rain in Lagos, Abuja and Ibadan today is very high, because in these three cities the weather is mostly cloudy, so it is quite advisable to leave your house with an umbrella this morning, because the chances that it will rain in Lagos, Abuja and Ibadan is quite high. Alright, so we know we always do this every morning. We always give you the weather forecast report for Ibadan, Lagos and Abuja every morning. So it's going to help you to plan your day-to-day activities. You know that the chances that it will rain in these three cities this morning or today is very high, and also prepare you for any type of weather condition ahead of the day.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, so that's that about the first segment of the program this morning, which is the weather forecast report. Now moving straight to the second segment of the program, which is the headlines making rounds on the front pages of our national dailies. And this morning, like always, we'll be taking a look at the Punch newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper, the Guardian, the Nigerian Tribune, and of course the Nation newspaper. These are the 5 newspapers we'll be taking a look at this morning.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, so as always, kickstarting with the Punch newspaper this morning, the lead story on page 3 says, Archie protest, security agencies occupy Abuja venue as IG organizers disagree, and page 3 has the detail. Alright, so just one rider to that, and the rider says, soldiers, police in show of force nationwide, court restrict Lagos protest to 2 venues, and page 3 has the details to that story. On page 28 of the Punch newspaper for this morning, fuel crisis may end as V2 births in Lagos State, and page 28 has the details to that story. On page 19, referendum, Yoruba Nation agitators writing reminder to Tinubu says Igboho, and page 19 has the detail. Alright, so still on the Punch newspaper for this morning, another story there says, stay clear of prisons, NCOS wants protesters, and page 5 has the detail. Still on page 5 of the Punch newspaper for this morning, Katsina has received federal government rights, says acting governor, and page 5 has the details to that story. On entertainment, Naira abuse, Bobrisky to regain freedom August 5, and the details to that story is on page 30 of the Punch newspaper.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, so moving on to the next newspaper this morning, which is the Vanguard newspaper. And the lead news on page 5 says, protest, organizers list convergence points for rallies, and page 5 has a detail. Alright, so quite a lot of riders to that story, and the very first one says, Falana Adegowa NBA to lead meeting with IGP. IGP orders DIGs, AIGs, CPs to provide protection for protesters. Court restrict protests in Lagos to Freedom Peace Park. We have a thinking, not bad government, says presidency. Labour Party Lagos Patriots pulls out of protest, and the details to that riders is on page 13 of the Vanguard newspaper. Alright, so now above the Vanguard newspaper on page 19, Nigeria's burning lights price dropped to $79 per barrel, lowest in 7 weeks, and page 19 has the details to that story. On page 20 of the Vanguard newspaper for today, federal government hands over 400 CNG kits to transporters in 4 states, and page 20 has the detail. Federal government suspend duty on rice, flour, other essential food items, and page 35 has the analysis to that story. Learn from Kenya's bitter experience, Bishop warns, and page 8 has the details to that story. of the Vanguard newspaper for this morning, Jackande lecture, publishers, editors, other points way forward for media survival, and page 8 has a detail. On page 9, Tetfon lament Varsity's monthly 400 million naira electricity bill, and the detail to that story is on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. Alright, so finally the last headline this morning on the Vanguard newspaper is on sport. And the story says, IOC SAC suspended Nigerian boxer from Games Village, and page 36 has a detail. Okay, so moving on to the next newspaper this morning, which is the Guardian newspaper. And the lead news on page 6 is real estate. Slow justice system compounds investment uptake, 100 billion naira loss yearly, and page 6 has the details to that story. On page 12 of the Guardian newspaper for this morning, empty ATMs are stressed to CBN's cashless policy, and the analysis to these stories on page 12 of the Guardian newspaper. Tension has joined security forces parade Ibadan, and page 5 has a detail. On page 3 of the Guardian newspaper for this morning, INSA faction knocks Obi over endorsement of protest, and page 3 has a detail. Empowerment. Yobo gives 1,780 women 5,300 codes to boost employment, and page 30 has the details to that story. Arike Kings has Nama grounds aircraft over $2.5 million debt, and page 4 has the details to that story. Still on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper for this morning, Portugal government wants protesters, declares custodial centers red zoned, and page 4 has the details to that story. Alright, so finally the last headline this morning on the Guardian newspaper is on page 6, and the story says, address Nigerians, reshuffle cabinet to starve of protest, XSGF tells Tinubu, and page 6 has a detail. Alright, so the next newspaper this morning is the Nigerian Tribune, and the lead story says, planned protest, federal government declares prisons red zones, and pages 2 and 30 has the details to that story. Alright, so quite a lot of riders to that story, and the very first one says, IGP advises against street possession, holds virtual meeting with Falano, Adiborua, and others. Courts restrict protesters to Freedom Park, Peace Park in Lagos State. Soldiers, police, DSS, others in show of force in Ibadan. And the protest with caution to avoid repetition of enters Anglican Primate or security forces. Niger Delta stakeholders distance region from planned protest. And the detail to that riders is on pages 2 and 30 of the Tribune newspaper. Alright, so now above the Tribune newspaper on page 3, 80,000 applications received for 110 billion naira youth investment fund in 72 hours, says federal government, and page 3 has a detail. On page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune, federal government suspend import duties, taxes on essential food items, and page 6 has a detail. Alright, so still on page 3 of the Tribune newspaper for this morning, Hurricane kicks as Kayamo orders grounding of fleet, and page 3 has the details to that story. Two policemen killed as kidnappers evade church, abduct former commissioner in Delta, and page 28 has the details to that story. On page 8 of the Tribune newspaper for this morning, court dismisses autumn suit against Benue government, and page 8 has a detail. On page 5, Jackande lecture, how media can survive current changing landscape, says media chiefs, and page 5 has the analysis to that story. Alright, so finally the last headline this morning on the Tribune newspaper is on page 7. And the story says, nation crude oil daily production of 1.6 million barrels to hit 2 million by December, says NPCL, and page 7 has the details to that story. Alright, so taking the final set of the headlines from the Nation newspaper this morning, and the lead story says, courts restrict protesters to Freedom Peace Parks in Lagos State, and page 4 has the details. Alright, so just to right after that story, at the very first one says, judge orders police to protect protesters. Bishop don't follow Kenya route, and page 4 has the details to that story. Alright, so now above the Nation newspaper on page 5, customs suspend import duties on essential food items, and page 5 has the analysis to that story. On page 6, 80,000 apply for 110 billion naira youth investment fund within 72 hours. And page 6 has the details to that story. Right, still on page 5 of the Nation newspaper for today, EFCC grease Nakon boss over 90 billion naira ad fund. And page 5 has the details to that story. Alright, so now below the Nation newspaper on page 6, publishers suggest media survival strategies at Jakonde lecture, and page 6 has the detail. Alright, so still on page 5 of the Nation newspaper for this morning, crude oil in Naira will lower inflation, forex pressure, says expert, and analysis to these stories on page 5 of the Nation newspaper.
Audio Jungle.
The next story this morning is still on page 5 of the Nation newspaper, and the story says, brace for more floods, Nema wants Nigerians, and page 5 has the details to that story. INEC ready with Edo voter list, and page 26 has the detail. Alright, so finally the last headline this morning on the Nation newspaper is still on page 5. And the story says, when you want to reboot hope, then that has been down. You need a bit of time, and we are on the right step. All the avenues of engagement and dialogue should be explored before a nationwide protest, says Tunji Ojo, and page 5 has the analysis to that story. These are the headlines that we have on the front pages of our Nigerian dailies for this morning edition, the Wednesday edition. Alright, so with that, we'd like to go on a very short break, and of course, when we come back, I will get straight into the details of the stories for this morning, which is the last segment of the program. So stay tuned, it is still from the newspapers. We'll be right back.
You are listening to the #1 radio station, Him FM, the station that is projecting the truth.
TV ìrẹ́rìn lónìgbò ìrẹ́fọ́n lọ́lọ́dún gbogbo tí tó ń gbọ́ mi ní tilé tó kò lẹ́yìn odi FM TV ní ká máa lò sí o torí wọ́n jẹ́ ẹni tó níbẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run lọ́kàn gidi gan-an ni ẹ bá wọn dòwò pọ̀ kẹ́ ẹ lè jàǹfààní wọn ni èmi èjìrí òkí ló ń kéde lẹ́yìn sí gbogbo etí ọmọ aráyé pátápátá ẹ jẹ́ bá FM dòwò pọ̀ ká lè sórí ire nìtọ́rẹ́ ní tá a bá fẹ́ l'Ẹlẹ́dùmarè máa fẹ́.
FM rédíò and tẹlifíṣàn ìkànnì tó jáléjáko ni gbogbo ẹ máa gbọ́ ìròyìn tó kù ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ọgbà gbogbo ìránnilétí àṣà àdáyébá ní AM/FM ló wà ẹ̀jẹ̀ àmọ́ gbọ́. orúkọ tèmi ní olóyè adírẹ̀mí adídèjì ọlọ́fàáná mọ́ǹtì ọbàjẹ́ ti ìlú Ẹdẹ.
ìgbà tó tó bá ní í ṣe baálé ọba gbọ́migbọ́mi kọ̀ǹkọ̀ tó tún kọ̀ǹkọ̀ ní í ṣe ọba wọn lálẹ́ odò ó jẹ́ tìròyìn tó kojú owó orin tó dùn ún gbọ́ létí àṣà ẹ̀fẹ̀ àtàwọn ọ̀rọ̀ ìṣítí lọ́lọ́kanjọ̀kan ìkànnì AFM rédíò ọba ló jẹ́ láwùjọ rédíò.
AFM TV ẹ máa gbọ́ déédéé owó tó yẹ bá bá àwọn ọkọ̀ tó pọ̀ sí sápórí tó bá lẹ́sọ̀dẹ̀ ní tí ó tẹ̀lé èdè láyé o orúkọ tèmi ni orí adéwọ̀ ní ti.
You are listening to the #1 radio station, Him FM, the station that is projecting the truth.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Alright, so it's very great to have you back too from the newspapers, streaming live from MFM Radio and TV, right here in the beautiful city of Ibadan. And of course, I've taken you through the headlines from the national dailies for this morning edition. Now we're moving straight into the details of the stories. But you know how to inform you again that we're live on Facebook at MFM TV. You can be a part of the conversation this morning. Just write it to our platform, like, share, and also drop a comment. And of course, you can also call us at 0815 9194 0815 9194 to be a part of the show this morning. Alright, so the very first story this morning from the Punch newspaper says, Archie protest, security agencies occupy Abuja venue as IG organizers disagree. And here's the details of the story. Soldiers, policemen and other security personnel on Tuesday occupied the popular Ibu Square Abuja venue of the NBAN's governance protest scheduled to be held in the Federal Capital Territory and other major cities on Thursday. 26 military vans, 12 police patrol vehicles and a Black Maria were parked within and around the arena. The security forces took over the square as the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, and the protest organizers disagree on the mode of conduct of the demonstration. At a virtual meeting with the IG on Tuesday, the group rejected the police proposal for confined protest. Egbetokun had recommended that the protest be restricted to confined areas for public safety reasons, but Ebonwolu Adeboruwa, the solicitor for the protest organizers, rejected the suggestion. The meeting had in attendance human rights lawyer Femi Falana, other key members of the Take It Back movement and other civil society organizations. Speaking to the newsmen after the meeting, Adeboruwa said the area of disagreement was the confinement of protesters to a particular location. He said the organizers disagreed because it was against their fundamental right. Alright, so you can further read on this story from the Punch newspaper for today, and the story says, Archie protest, security agencies occupy Abuja venue as IG organizers disagree, and the story is on the Punch newspaper for this morning. Alright, so still from the Punch newspaper for today, the story says, Katsina has received federal government rights, says acting governor, and here's the details of the story. The Katsina state government has announced the delivery of 20 trucks of rice allocated by the federal government to the state. The acting governor, Farouk Jobe, confirmed this during a joint meeting with critical stakeholders, interest group head of security agencies, members of the executive council, the legislature, and the chairman of the 34 local government areas at the presidential banquet hall Katsina Government House on Monday. Jobe said the state government has established a committee to ensure the equitable distribution of the rice to its intended beneficiaries. And according to him, to further alleviate the hardship faced by residents, the government has also sold 78,000 bags of grains and 173,000 bags of grains worth over 10.6 billion naira at subsidized rate to residents in the state. He further stated that the state government has provided 400,000 bags of fertilizers to farmers at the subsidized rate, engage more extension workers, and provide chemicals all aimed at encouraging people to return to farming. Regarding the August 1 planned nationwide protest, Malam Jobe acknowledged the challenges faced by the residents in the state and urged the organizers to protest peacefully and avoid actions that could lead to the loss of lives and properties in the state. Alright, so the story says Katsina has received federal government rise, says acting governor, and the story is from the Punch newspaper for today. Ultimate revenue collection, Rep says Nigerian embassies, and here's the details of the story. The House of Representative Public Accounts Committee has given a 60-day ultimatum to the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, and the Accountant General of the Federation, Oluwatoyin to ultimate the collection of foreign currency in Nigeria's foreign nations. The chairman of the committee, Bamidele Salam, gave the charge on Tuesday in Abuja at a public hearing on the status of automation of foreign currency collection in Nigeria's foreign nations. Addressing the committee at the hearing, the Accountant General said File Solution Limited was awarded a contract for the automation of foreign currency collection in Nigeria's foreign nation across the globe. She added that the contract awarded on April 28, 2021 was worth a total sum of 83.6 million naira, apart from a commission of 1 to 5% depending on the amount the company can collect. She added that 90% of the contract sum amounting to 75.2 million has been paid to the contractor. Bidding further noted that the terms of the contract were to ensure that the collection of revenue from all Nigerians' foreign missions was online in real time. Alright, so the story is ultimate revenue collection, Rep says Nigerian embassies, and the story is from the Guardian newspaper for this morning.
Audio Jungle.
The next story this morning from the Tribune newspaper says EFCC crews now can share over 90 billion naira ad subsidy, and here's the details of the story. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on Tuesday interrogated the chairman of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Jalal Arabi, over alleged mismanagement of the 2024 Hajj exercise funds, among others. It was gathered that Arabi arrived at the EFCC headquarters in Jabi, Abuja at about 10 a.m. and was greeted for hours by the EFCC investigators. An insider who provided anonymity because of the sensitive nature of the matter informed the newsman that Jabi's questioning was prompted by petitions filed against him. This also added that 3 directors from the commission have also been invited to explain what they know about the issue. They include the Director of Procurement, Director of Finance, and the Director of the Programs. At a post-Hajj press conference in Abuja on Monday, the NACO chairs has said the 900 billion subsidy was transparently utilized. Recall in June, the Niger State Governor, Mohammed Wago, ordered the National Assembly to probe the 90 billion naira released by the federal government to subsidize the 2024 Hajj pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, so you can further read on this story from the Tribune newspaper for today, and the story says EFCC crews now can share over 90 billion naira ad subsidy. Alright, so still on the Tribune newspaper for today, the next story says Gombe yet to receive federal government rise, says governor, and here's the details of the story. Gombe State Governor Mohammed Yahya on Tuesday disclosed that the state is yet to receive its allocated share of the federal government rise intended for the free distribution to citizens to alleviate the current hardship. He announced this while addressing members of the civil society organization, the organized labor, and the unions of teachers in the state as part of his ongoing engagement with key stakeholders in the face of the impending nationwide hunger protest. Yahya commended the federal government initiative, which allocated 20 trucks of rice to each of the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory to cushion the effects of the economic challenges faced by the populace. He, however, expressed concerns over the delay in receiving these essential supplies in Gombe State. Despite this, the governor emphasized the state's commitment to providing relief to its citizens, citing previous palliative distribution and the ongoing investment in human capital development, education, health, and agriculture, among other things. Speaking of the protest, Yahya reiterated the importance of peaceful and orderly conduct, acknowledging the role of the TSOs, among others, in maintaining social stability and economic resilience. Alright, so you can further read on this story from the Tribune newspaper for today, and the story says Gombe yet to receive federal government rise, says governor.
Audio
the story. The Delta State government said on Tuesday that the state recorded 150 cholera cases and 7 deaths since the outbreak of the disease in the country. The Commissioner of Health, Dr. Joseph Onajimi, stated this on Tuesday while giving an update on the cholera status of the state in Asaba, the state capital. He said the first outbreak started in mid-February. The state has recorded about 138 cases in Wari Southwest, which is the local government where it all started from. The state had 11 suspected cases in Bomadi and 1 in Oshimili South. So far, 7 persons, mainly children, have lost their life. He also said the male to female ratio of the casualties were 3:1, added that the casualties were recorded in first outbreak, while the second and the third outbreak were under the control by the State Ministry of Health. The commissioner also said the disease was common among villages spread across water banks, as it listed high risk local government as Wari Southwest, Wari North, Wari South, Ugiri North, Ugiri South, Patani, Bomadi, and Boruto.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, so the story from the Nation newspaper says Delta records 150 cholera cases, 7 deaths, and the story is on the Nation newspaper for today.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, so still on the Nation newspaper for this morning, the next story says Kano unveils committee on new minimum wage, and here's the details of the story. The Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf on Tuesday inaugurated a state advisory committee on the new national minimum wage just 48 hours after President Bola Tinubu approved the 70,000 naira minimum wage as agreed with the organized labor union. The unveiling, which took place at the government house, was conducted by the Deputy Governor Aminu Gwazo on behalf of the governor. In a statement by Deputy Governor spokesman Ibrahim Shuaibu, said Governor Yusuf emphasized the committee's responsibility to plan effectively for the newly approved minimum wage and to present a practical recommendation for the state government's immediate implementation. Yusuf assured that the implementation of the new minimum wage would increase the development of the state across all sectors, as the welfare of the workers is a government priority. The newly inaugurated chairman of the committee, special advisor to the governor on the state affairs, Usman Bala, expressed his gratitude to the state government for its confidence in the committee. He noted that the exercise would impact thousands of workers in both the private and public sectors by balancing the interests of the employers, employees, and the public. Alright, so the story is Kano unveils committee on new minimum wage, and the stories on the Nation newspaper for this morning.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, so the next story this morning from Oyo State says Federal government Oyo begins free distribution of fertilizers, and here's the details to the story. The Oyo State government, in collaboration with the federal government on Tuesday, commenced free distribution of 21,000 bags of assorted fertilizers to over 10,500 farmers in the state. The event was held at Osada Warehouse Fertilizer Store, landing in Ojobodu area in Oyo town. While declaring it open, the State Commissioner for Agriculture and Rural Development, Olasukomi Olaleye, described the event as a testament of Governor Seyi Makinde-led administration's resolve to increase food production and boost the economy of the state. He said the gesture would improve crop productivity, enhance food security, and also increase the income of our rural farmers, adding that the state government is committed to boosting agricultural productivity. Also speaking, the state coordinator of Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Kakulu Omonele, represented by an officer in the ministry, Balikis Abdulatif, said the Central Bank of Nigeria donated about 100,000 metric tons, which is 2 million bags of assorted fertilizers to the federal government as a support to cushion the current economic effects on food production to enhance food security in Nigeria.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, so the story from the Gaja newspaper says federal government Oyo begin free distribution of fertilizers. And you can further read on this story from the Gaja newspaper from this morning.
Audio Jungle.
Customs suspend import duties on essential food items, and here's the details to the story. Suspension of import duties on essential food items has gone into effect, the Nigerian Customs Service NCS said yesterday. It is part of the federal government's effort to address the high cost of food, The Controller General Adeniyi said the measure aims to make essential food items more affordable for Nigerians. Acknowledging the global inflation trend and its impact on Nigeria, he emphasized the government's commitment to easing the financial burden on citizens. He outlined the NCA's effort to streamline export processes, enhance trade, and stimulate the economy. According to Adeniyi, the reform will provide farmers, artisans, and entrepreneurs with a faster path to global markets, thereby benefiting their families and communities. Adeniyi said in addition to economic measures, the NCS is intensifying efforts to combat the proliferation of arms and dangerous weapons through land, seas, and airport. Alright, so the story from the Guardian newspaper says customs suspend import duties on essential food items, and you can further read on this story from the Guardian newspaper for this morning. The next story this morning from the Nation newspaper says Njume rejects third floor office, and here's the details to the story. Southern Senator Mohammed Ali Njume yesterday rejected a new office allocated to him by the Senate Services Committee. In a letter to the chairman of the committee, Senator Sunday Karimi, APC Kogi West, Njume said the office, which is located on the third floor of the Senate's new building, is not befitting for him as one of the most ranking members in the 10th Senate. According to the Senate standing orders, Njume said he deserved to be allocated an office on the fourth floor like his ranking counterpart. His letter dated Tuesday, July 30, 2024, and titled Re-Office Allocation was signed by Chief Confidential Secretary Yati Shuaibu Gawu. Njume was recently stripped of his position as the Majority Whip of the Senate by the leadership of the All Progressive Congress APC following his comments in an interview which the party's leadership considered as detrimental to the fortune and that of the present administration. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio had also relieved Njume of his vice chairmanship of the Senate Committee on Appropriation. The Bonny South Senator has rejected his appointment as the new chairman of the Senate Committee on Tourism. Alright, so the story from the Nation newspaper says Njume rejects third floor office, and you can further read on the story from the Nation newspaper for this morning. Alright, so let me tell you one more story before we go on another short break. And the story is still from the Nation newspaper says First Lady distributes 1,750 bags of rice in Oyo State, and here's the details of the story. The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, in collaboration with Office of the Wife of the Oyo State Governor yesterday, distributed 1,750 bags of rice to vulnerable residents and the less privileged across the 33 local government areas of the state. It was part of the First Lady's effort to reduce hunger among the vulnerable populace. Mrs. Tinubu had earlier distributed free notebooks to students in public schools across the state. The palliative, which took place in the Ibadan state capital, was aimed at providing relief to those affected by the current economic hardship. Mrs. Tinubu, who was represented by the wife of the Oyo State Governor, Mrs. Makinde, said the Renewed Hope Initiative Women Agriculture Support, Education and Social Investment Program was part of federal government's effort to alleviate poverty and hunger. The First Lady said the federal government was committed to ensuring that no Nigerians goes to bed hungry, hence the distribution of the rice. Mr. Makinde urged the beneficiaries not to divert the rice as she prayed for fast improvements in the country's economic situation. The beneficiaries, who included widows, orphans, and the elderly, expressed gratitude to the First Lady for the kind gesture. Alright, so you can further read on the story from the Nation newspaper for today, and the story says First Lady distributes 1,750 bags of rice in Oyo State. Alright, so with that, let's quickly go on a very short break, and of course when I come back I'll continue from the details of the airline for this morning, so stay tuned, we'll be right back.
You are listening to the #1 radio station, Kim FM, the station that is projecting the truth.
Ènìyàn mi lọ́kùnrin àti lóbìnrin, lọ́mọdé àti lágbà, orúkọ mi ni olóyè Dr. Olérè Pàímọ́ Ìdánilọ́lá mẹ́fà. Mo ń fi àsìkò rọ̀ yín wípé kẹ́ máa gbọ́ AIM FM radio and TV nígbà gbogbo. Torí pé ẹ máa kọ́gbọ́n bẹ̀, ẹ máa nílò, ẹ máa lóye. gbogbo ìgbà títẹ́ fi ń gbọ́ wọn ní ti ojú tẹ́ fi ń wọ̀n wọn gbé fọ́ ẹ máa gbọ́ wọn ẹ máa ṣe iṣẹ́ tí yín náà lójú sẹ́mi lọ́wọ́ ẹ ṣe púpọ̀ mo dúpẹ́.
MFMTV oníkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gbọ́dọ̀ náà ni àtọkùnrin wa àtọkùnrin wa ẹ̀lẹ́ o gbogbo ẹ̀yìn ọkùnrin wa pẹ̀lẹ́ o gbogbo ẹ̀yìn obìnrin wa pẹ̀lẹ́ o MFMTV oníkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gbọ́dọ̀ ẹ̀yìn ọkùnrin wa pẹ̀lẹ́ o MFMTV oníkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gbọ́ oníkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ lórí Instagram lórí Facebook oníkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gbọ́ òjẹ̀mọ́ mi ẹ̀wà lórí ìṣẹ́jú ọ̀bá nàmbá ẹ̀wà wọlé sísè láwùjọ òjò gbogbo ìkànnà gbé wá bẹ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀ ládùn gbogbo tó lóyún tó bá ronú tó bá ronú tì MFMTV oníkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gbọ́ olólùfẹ́ mi ẹ̀yọ́ rẹ̀ wá ọkọ sọ fún ìyàwó rẹ̀ MFMTV oníkẹ́mọ́ gbọ́ ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n ni MFMTV.
ọ̀tọ̀ ni gbogbo ọ̀yà ni ó mọ̀ pera rẹ̀ lódù bó bá jẹ́ níbi tí kábàánì ra mọ́tò láti òkè òkun tàbí ó fẹ́ ra ojúlówó mọ́tò ilé tí ó dá lọ́lọ́pẹ́ iléeṣẹ́ mọ́tò Onabis Automobile òní oyè àkànṣí eléyìí tó kalẹ̀ sí kìlómítà 8 Old Ife Road àdójúkọ ilé ìtajà àgbàlódé Brent sọ́ọ̀mì nílẹ̀ Ìbàdàn bóyá ẹ̀yin fẹ́ ra mọ́tò tàbí ẹ fẹ́ gbé mọ́tò rẹ́sẹ̀ láti orílẹ̀ òkèrè sórílẹ̀-èdè wa Nàìjíríà kódà orí ọ̀fẹ́ wà láti bá yín ṣe àmójútó láti bá yín ṣe àyẹ̀wò sí mọ́tò yín iléeṣẹ́ Onabis Automobile ohun gẹ́gẹ́ ni mò ń pè níyàn ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ wọn ni 0803 371 0636 0803 371 0636 Onabis Automobile boom 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 boom.
You are listening to the #1 radio station, Kim FM, the station that is projecting the truth.
Alright, so it's very great to have you back from the newspapers, and of course we are still in the last segment of the program this morning, which is the details to the stories making rounds on the front pages of our national dailies. And of course, we'll be taking a look at some of the stories making rounds on the front pages since when we started this program. So if you have anything to say or any comment to make on the story, just go right to our Facebook page at MFMTV to drop your comment this beautiful morning, or call us at 0815 9194247 to be a part of the show this morning. Alright, so the next story this morning, still from Oyo State, says we continue to invest in projects that support sustainable development, says Governor Makinde, and here's the detail. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has reiterated that his administration is continuing to invest in projects that are of comparative advantage to the state to support his vision of sustainable development. He said the upgrade of the Ibadan Airport Alakia to an international standard is the second comparative advantage his administration is exploring toward expanding the economy. The governor said this yesterday while inaugurating an 11-man Ibadan Airport Upgrade Project Committee headed by the former Commissioner for Finance in Oyo State, Mr. Bimbo Adekombi, at the Executive Chamber of the Governor's Office Secretariat Agodi in Ibadan. He said his administration invested in the development of agribusiness, which was the first comparative advantage of the state, noting that the upgrade of the airport will support agribusiness and also contribute to the expansion of the state's economy. The governor said the decision to upgrade Ibadan Airport was taken based on science, logic, and data, noting that it was an investment that would be endured. Alright, so you can further read on this story from the Punch newspaper for today, and the story says we continue to invest in projects that support sustainable development, says Governor Makinde.
Audio Jungle. The
next story this morning, still from the Punch newspaper, says Lagos must convey protesters to designated parks, group rehab to court ruling, and here's the details to the story. One of the groups organizing the proposed nationwide protest, the Take It Back movement, has described the judgment obtained by the Lagos state government as an abuse of judicial privilege to stifle citizens' freedom of association. A Lagos State High Court had on Tuesday restricted protesters participating in the nationwide protest to specific locations within the state. Justice Emmanuel Gundari, while ruling an ex parte application by the Lagos State Attorney General and the Commissioner for Justice, Lawal Pedro, ordered that protests could only take place at the Gani Faweyimi Freedom Park in Ojota and Peace Park in Ketu. However, in a statement on Wednesday, the coordinator of the Take It Back movement, Lagos, Adekunle Taufik, said the state government must bear the cost of moving protesters from several designated areas in the state to venues ordered by the court. Taufik said some of the agreed designated convergence points for the participating citizens are Alausa Secretariat, Eki Toll Gate, Ikorodu Bus Park, Okota Link Bridge, Lasso Campus Gate, Yano Ipaja Under Bridge, and Agege Pen Cinema. Taufik stated that the buses must arrive at the designated areas by 6 a.m. and return by 6 p.m. to convey the protesters back to their destination. Alright, so the story from the Punch newspaper says, Lagos must convey protesters to designated parks, group rehab to court ruling, and the stories on the Punch newspaper for this morning. Alright, so still from the Punch newspaper for this morning, stay clear of prisons, NCOs wants protesters, and here's the details of the story. The federal government has declared all its 256 custodial centers across the country as red zones ahead of the August 1 planned nationwide protest. The Controller General of the Nigerian Correctional Center, Aliru Nababa, said this on Tuesday by the NCO's Public Relations Officer, Abubakar Umar. Nababa emphasized that any person or group of persons who have no business whatsoever should stay clear of the custodial centers. Nababa advised all members of the public to join hands with the service to ensure the protection of correctional facilities. He said adequate security arrangements had been put in place to ensure that no correctional facility was defiled. He added that the Ministry of Interior Joint Task Force had been activated to provide extra security in and around custodial facilities nationwide. The NCO's boss also appreciated the continuous cooperation of members of the public in ensuring the peace in and around correctional centers nationwide. They urged the public members to report any suspicion plans or movement to the NCOS. Take this one more story before we end the news this morning. The story says Tinubu means well for Nigeria, says Vice President Shettima, and here's the details of the story. Vice President Kashim Shettima has solicited the support of Nigerians for the actualization of the programs and policies of President Ahmed Tinubu's administration. Speaking when we received representative of media practitioners from the northern part of the country on a party visit at the presidential villa Abuja on Tuesday, he insisted that the president means well for all Nigerians. And according to him, contrary to speculations in some quarters, President Tinubu is neither anti-North or nor anti-Islam, noting that the president has reflected in his appointment to key positions in the federal government, ministries, departments, and agencies. To come to the end of the news on From the Newspapers, streaming live from MFM Radio and TV, right in the beautiful city of Ibadan. My name is Mobolaji Karim. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of the program this morning. Have a wonderful day.